Welcome to Only Murders in My Mind. Hello, it's Thursday, it's 5 p.m. and I'm here with Mike Jackson.
Hello, Carol.
Hello, he's laughing at me.
Oh, you laughed as well. You set her off now.
And Liz Hedgecock.
Hello.
Hello, Liz. Why did she laugh
There
again?
you go. She's laughing at me now as well. Are you happy now?
I'm much happier now. Thank you.
Good.
We're giggling because we're having a cup of tea. That's all it is. And there's nothing in it except tea, milk, and for me, sweeteners. You two don't indulge
we
in
don't.
sweetness, do you?
No.
So, yes.
Some might say we were sweet enough already.
Yes,
I didn't like to say.
And some
but
might not.
Yes, yeah. you realise, Liz, that Carol is trying to talk, and every time she tries to talk, we
talk to each other.
take her down a rabbit hole. Or,
Oh, as if.
No, we don't do that. We don't go off on tangents or anything.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, one of the reasons why we keep going down rabbit holes is because we have no idea what we're talking about.
We
today.
do.
We have. We
Oh,
got
right.
a topic. You might not, but
you
we
didn't.
do.
You didn't tell me what the topic was, did you?
The beginning of forensics,
Right.
which is a particular interest of mine, and Liz has done some research on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about the beginnings of forensics, Mike?
I remember once my younger son used to live in London, and he took myself and my wife on a long walk to. We had a coffee near Highgate Cemetery, where Karl Marx
right.
is
Yes.
buried, and then we went up the hill. What's the common there?
Ooh.
I want to say it's Highgate,
Highgate
Common.
Common?
It might be. Yeah.
Might be, yeah.
Big common. Walked up there, beautiful view over London, and we stopped at a pub up there.
It's not Hampstead Heath, is it?
It could be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's a newspaper, isn't it, called the Ham and High?
Oh, right. Well, it
So-
will be. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, there's that. Got to get to the top, and there was a pub there, so we stopped to have some
Excellent.
lunch.
I like the way this story is developing.
And my wife disappeared to use the facilities. Came back very excited, and dragged us both off to the wards the ladies. At which point we were both slightly worried.
Mm.
And anyway, this pub was something like 12th, 13th century, really old. And I can't remember the exact date, but there's a plaque on the wall which said the first autopsy carried out here in 1700.
And the ladies lose.
Well,
On that site.
On that site.
Oh,
I don't. I think in
don't rain on my parade, everybody.
1700. I don't think it was the. Might have been. I don't know.
It probably wasn't. Ladies lose came along a lot
Yeah.
later, didn't they?
So it was the first autopsy
Wow.
carried out at this pub. I can't remember why, and I may have made the whole thing up, but I don't think
Maybe it was
so.
just convenient for everybody. Big room.
Big room, yes,
Yeah.
Yep.
and often if it was a coaching inn,
Yes.
it might be somebody's been found murdered on the highway.
Mm.
They take them to the nearest coaching inn, and
Well, didn't they do assizes and things like that at coaching
Coaching
inns?
inns.
So
Yeah,
it was
yes.
probably not as
Probably
unusual as you would
think.
think.
They got
Yeah.
used for lots of things, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway, that's my contribution.
Thank you. It's the usual thing. You look at different sites for research, and the first one, because I wrote this down in my neat handwriting, and it said forensics goes back to the 6th century in China, and then I read another article that said it went back to the 4th century in China. Have you got any updates on that?
What do we
Liz?
mean by forensics?
Well, this is what I'm going to
Ah,
enlighten you
wow.
on.
Well, now then. Go on.
Right. Well, it
We're
says
doing well, aren't we?
there was a book written in the 6th century in China called Washing Away of Wrongs.
I've got that as 1248.
Well,
by
there you go.
Song Si.
That's the right. It's the
During
right
the
one.
Song Dynasty.
A Chinese coroner
Mm.
about conducting autopsies and investigating deaths.
Yeah, and protecting the evidence in the examining process.
They were pretty well on top of things, though, weren't they? In China, they
Yeah.
the things that they did that we did hundreds of years later.
Yeah, like things like printing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says here he devised all sorts of methods for things like making antiseptic. Again, well ahead of...
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Promoting the reappearance of hidden injuries.
Oh.
Yeah. Sunlight and vinegar, apparently, under a red oil umbrella. There you go. Calculating the time of death. Brackets. Allowing for weather and insect activity.
Yes.
But yes, how to examine the dead body. So
That is
there you go.
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When was this?
So this was the first written account, and it says here, written in China in 1248. So
I can go back to 367 BC.
wow,
Is that the Romans?
Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
Ptolemy.
Oh, yeah. There were a
King
few of them, weren't
yeah,
there?
The first.
Ah.
King of Egypt champions pathologic anatomy and establishes the great University of Alexandria.
Ah, with the library.
Yeah, and the library. He becomes the first ruler to allow medical officials to cut open and examine dead bodies for the purpose of learning. Most of the early dissections were performed on executed criminals.
It was the same in this country as well, wasn't
Well,
it? Later on.
Yeah, because remember when I was talking about Burke and Hare?
Yeah,
and it
the
was
body snatchers.
Yeah.
Oh. I know we think of Leonardo da Vinci. Didn't he get done for witchcraft for cutting up bodies or something like that and drawing them? Was it Leonardo da Vinci?
Quite possibly.
Because he was very interested in anatomy.
Yeah, he used to dissect bodies and draw them in tiny detail, and it was okay until they decided it wasn't okay for political reasons. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah. Another interesting one with autopsy, 44 BC.
Wow.
The first recorded autopsy occurs when Anticitus, I might have got that wrong, examined Julius Caesar's body after he's been stabbed 23 times to find out which of the stab wounds was the fatal one.
Did it really matter?
It was a wound to the chest that ruptured his aorta.
Well, it depends.
Somebody thought it was.
Yeah, I was going to say if they
I
were all
suppose for medical
him,
purposes,
if they were all stabbing him at once. Stabby.
Yeah.
Et tu, Brute.
Yes, very much so. But I mean, we're saying about all this, and then later on, there's stuff about lots of methods involved saliva and examination of the mouth and tongue to determine innocence or guilt. So it wasn't all like red hot forensics here. Apparently, in ancient India, some suspects were made to fill their mouths with dried rice and spit it back out.
Oh,
and that would tell you whether they were telling the truth or not. Apparently,
okay.
So there you go.
Doesn't it just tell you how much saliva they've got in their mouth?
I would have thought so. Apparently, the theory was that a guilty person would produce less saliva and have a drier mouth.
All through nerves.
So if rice was sticking to your mouth, then you were probably guilty.
Or just hungry.
Yes, there is also that.
I've got here that fingerprints were used as ID from medieval times.
Ah.
Which, I mean, we think, I mean, I know fingerprints go back to like the 1800s. I know that, but I didn't think they were used in any form whatsoever before then. And I think I did read something after I made me notes that put them as being used even earlier in some countries. 18th century forensic science used to determine guilt or innocence, including murder. So that they were using fingerprints as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is in terms of it being systematic, because presumably people have worked out when they were using them for ID for medieval stuff, okay, it's unlikely someone else is going to have the same.
Yeah.
But then it was actually the Indian Civil Service that really got things going with the fingerprints. So it was Sir William Herschel, and he began to use a thumbprint on a document as a security measure. Because there were problems around signatures.
Oh, yes,
there was
of course.
corruption. So he registered government pensioners' fingerprints so that relatives couldn't basically collect money after someone had died because they wouldn't have the fingerprint, obviously.
Oh, and now we're in the age where you need a fingerprint to open your phone.
Yeah. Here's another one. Paul Revere? Why does it ring a bell?
British
American.
Coming? Was he the British Are Coming?
It
that
might
one
be,
with the ride, the horseback ride.
1775?
Probably.
Yeah. Anyway, after his friend, Dr. Joseph Warren, was shot and killed in the Battle of Bunker Hill, Paul Revere made the first forensic dental identification of his friend's remains, as he was responsible for fashioning the ivory teeth found on his body.
I've got fingerprints again. This was in the 19th century. Sir Francis Galton confirmed their how unique they were, and led to their use in criminal investigations. So the use of fingerprints was progressing in different countries at different rates.
Yeah. So in India it was quite advanced.
Yes.
I think they were doing it in France before they were doing it here. But something kind of interesting was a Scottish guy who worked in a Tokyo hospital, published his first paper on fingerprints about identification and proposing a method to record them with ink. When he went back to the UK, he offered the concept to the Metropolitan Police, who went, nah. So what he did was he wrote to Charles Darwin.
Oh.
But Darwin was like old and ill and didn't want to be bothered with it. So he gave the information to his cousin, Francis Galton.
Ah.
So that was how Galton came by it. And he was interested in anthropology. So presumably Darwin thought, oh, yeah, Frank can work on
that,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. And he ended up studying fingerprints for 10 years and publishing a detailed statistical model of fingerprint analysis, and actually wrote a book called Fingerprints. And he calculated the chance of a false positive was 1 in 64 billion.
Woo!
So there you go. But he was an interesting guy. He was a polymath, and he was the father of eugenics, and he had some very, what we would now call questionable views, but he was incredibly influential.
Right. Sounds very clever, actually, as well.
He was one of these people who was just, I think, quite eccentric.
Yeah.
And, had the sort of mind that was interested in everything. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, these are the sort of the pioneers, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
we've heard of the Bertillon system.
Oh,
we've mentioned
the Bertillon
this.
measurements.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Alphone Bertillon developed a system of anthropometry. Thank you.
That's the one.
Yeah, which he just used body measurements instead of photos. So he'd measure, from the shoulder to the elbow, from the elbow to the wrist, from the wrist to the fingertips. He like the size of the jaw, the forehead, what the ears look like, and make loads and loads of notes and draw pictures and things, so that they could then later identify somebody if they did the same. If they broke the law again, well, that's this person.
Yeah. I just love the idea you catch someone in the act, they run out like, come back here, I've got my tape measure.
Yeah.
But he also invented the mugshot.
Yes, because that's what it went on from, didn't it?
Yeah.
When they started using proper photographs for ID. And the first forensic science lab, we've talked about this before, was Edmond Locard, and it was in Lyons in France, or Lyons as I tend to call it. And that must have been a massive step forward. I wonder how seriously they were taken by the police force and, like law enforcers and people like that. Did they think it was all poppycock, do you think?
Well, he had a lab, so, I mean, presumably someone funded that lab.
Must have done, mustn't
But
they?
apparently he was known as the Sherlock Holmes of Lyon.
Yes.
So, and he came up with Locard's principle, which the basic principle of forensic science being every contact leaves a trace.
Which is true.
Yeah. So I've got the full version here. Wherever he steps, whatever he touches, whatever he leaves, even unconsciously, will serve as a silent witness against him. Not only his fingerprints or his footprints, but his hair, the fibres from his clothes, the glass he breaks, the tool mark he leaves, the paint he scratches, the blood or semen he deposits or collects. All of these and more bear mute witness against him. This is evidence that does not forget. It is not confused by the excitement of the moment. It is not absent because human witnesses are. It is factual evidence. Physical evidence cannot be wrong. It cannot perjure itself. It cannot be wholly absent. Only human failure to find it, study and understand it can diminish its value.
Oh, that's so true though,
Good,
isn't
it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing, that. And it's interesting, you're saying about Edmond Locard being like the Sherlock Holmes. I read another article after I'd done my notes, and it said the influence that fictional character had on the use of forensics because of the author, because of Conan Doyle, was really, nobody will know how much, because it caught the imagination of the public.
Yes.
That you could trace somebody by the way they burnt the cigarette and all these sorts of things. That really hadn't been in the population's mind until they started reading the Sherlock Holmes book. So it had a massive influence on how people then perceived forensic science.
Yeah, I'll tell you what else had a massive influence on Sherlock Holmes. A doctor called Joseph Bell.
Yes.
He was his lecturer, wasn't
Because
he?
he studied medicine, didn't he?
Yes, he absolutely did.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, because I recently read a book of short stories, and they were all sort of murder mystery short stories. But they were from great writers prior to Conan Doyle. So each one is by, I didn't recognise, I must admit, I didn't recognise most of the writers, but they were prolific murder mystery writers at their time. And of all the stories I read, they were so dull because it was very much a case of, well, we've come to the conclusion, or the inspector here has come to the conclusion that he did it, because when we've looked at the facts, they seem to point to the fact that he did it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Conan Doyle came.
So it was all kind of circumstantial.
Yeah,
I
well, and it wasn't even
suppose,
circumstantial. It's
Yeah,
like
true.
he had an idea and you looked dodgy, so you must have done
Yeah,
it.
you're the
Yeah.
best fit, so.
Yeah. Whereas when you get to Conan Doyle, he actually does, you know, study people.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And I think that's the whole forensic
Oh,
thing, isn't
yeah.
it? It's about
Yeah.
studying.
I've actually got a quote from Conan Doyle about Bell.
Oh, go on.
All right.
He met Bell in 1877 and served as his outpatient clerk at the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. And he observed that Bell seemed to be able to diagnose patients from very little information and notice minute details. So here comes the quote. Dr. Bell would sit in his receiving room with a face like a red Indian, sorry everybody, and diagnose people as they came in before they even opened their mouths. He would tell them their symptoms and even give them details of their past life, and hardly ever would he make a mistake.
Sounds like a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, this is exactly what Sherlock did, didn't he? Somebody would walk into the room and he'd go, "Well, you've obviously recently split up from your wife because your clothes aren't pressed, and I can see you've still got there's a mark where you've been wearing a wedding ring, and you'd be like, and you've got the soil, and you've been living up by the Thames, and you'd be going, you're so amazing."
When you think about it, that's exactly what Miss Marple was. She was a watcher of people.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's where
Although-
things changed around, didn't it? It became so much more important in these stories to actually be almost detailed in what they were seeing.
Yes.
And a bit like a
Yes.
forensic
Yes,
study
analysis,
is.
wasn't
Analysis,
it?
yeah.
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 So with Sherlock Holmes, it's all about the little details, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Sherlock Holmes will pick up that, you know, oh, your maid's not very good, you know, because of like the pattern of mud on your boot or something like that. Whereas Agatha Christie is likely to be more, you know, oh, I think it's this because I remember I used to have a maid who behaved like that and she would have done that thing. So it's more of a character thing.
Yes, yeah. She used to refer to people she knew on a regular basis, did Miss Marple, didn't she?
Yes, yeah, and it was very much a case of, well, I've been watching so and so,
Yeah.
and you know, she's not been going to the butcher's every Sunday like she usually does.
Well, as
or whatever.
writers, we do observe people, don't we? You like to go into coffee shops, don't you?
Yes,
I love. Do you love to people watch?
I quite like it, yes.
I love to people
I
watch,
like what
and I'm
people
making little scenarios up in my head, especially if there's something a bit funny going on. We went to somewhere once, and these two men came in and they sat down. They were it was in London, very well dressed, and sat down, and they were leaning towards each other. And I'm going to David, they're mafia.
Of course.
He said they might just be bankers. I went, no. I said something underhand going on there.
Yeah, if there's something like a little niggle, I want to try and solve it.
Yeah.
So a ridiculous thing. I used to work in a school and someone left some stuff on the photocopy and I thought, now who would that be?
Yeah.
And I worked it out and I said, I think you left something on the photocopy. She was like, she went over and she's like, how did you know it was me? I said, well.
Yeah.
And of course you explained it like, oh, of course, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And you think, but you didn't know, did you?
Wow.
but that was the same with Sherlock Holmes. Whenever it was explained afterwards, it always seemed
Yeah.
very feasible.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, what was the saying? If it's impossible,
If you eliminate the impossible,
Possible.
whatever remains, however
Improbable.
improbable, must be the truth.
that's it. I like that saying. And policemen quote that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I've quoted that a few times myself in
Yeah.
books.
Oh
but,
yes, it's a good quote.
but it's interesting in that Doyle was the Watson to Bell's Holmes.
Yes,
because
he
he was observing and
Wasn't
how
he?
did he do that?
Yeah, that's amazing when you think. I bet people were stood there going
Yeah, probably.
with the mouths open.
Yeah, but I mean, Bell was known as a pioneer in forensic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw a couple once on the tube. I go to London quite a lot, and I think I've told the story before. Do forgive me if I have. But this is how you observe somebody, and your perception of them completely changes on something you view. So there was a couple sat opposite me and my daughter on the tube, very well dressed. A man, a gentleman, and a lady looked like they were perhaps going to a wedding or something like that. And then they got. Just before they got off at Euston, and we got off at Euston, I saw something on his head. And I went to my daughter, look at his head. And we were behind him on the tube, and he was alive. So he'd obviously been living rough. So why were they dressed up like that? Was there some sort of con going on or something?
Ooh.
You know, I mean, not just the odd head lice. He was a walking.
Walking.
Oh, this is it.
Ooh.
But my looking at him going, oh, what a nice couple, aren't they well dressed? And I wonder what they're doing from that to being suspicious, because the way he was looking didn't go with what I was seeing.
See.
That didn't all make sense. A well-groomed person would not let that happen to them. You know, so that really threw my what's going on here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I didn't quite follow them, but I'd like to have done. So we went from sort of the very basics, and of course the big game changer was DNA. When DNA was, and
that was comparatively late in the game.
it was in the
wasn't it?
80s,
Yeah.
I think. They were sort of doing stuff for the FBI and things like that. But of course, we had that big case in England that was solved. I can't remember what it was called now. Somebody had murdered a couple of girls, I think, and it was his DNA that ended up. The whole village was tested. The whole town was tested, and it is quoted when they're doing training in places for the FBI doing forensics training.
Yeah.
This case is always quoted
Is
as
that the
being.
case where the chap was a school caretaker? No, I'm
Can't
thinking
remember if he was a caretaker or I'm getting mixed up, but it was. Liz, are you looking for it, Liz? No.
I'm not. No, I'm
No.
looking for something else. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just have a look. But as I say, it was. There's been television programs about
Yeah.
it, which I found absolutely fascinating.
While you're looking, you've used forensic stuff in your books, haven't
Yes,
you? Yes. So what have you used?
Well, in the last book, I used DNA from a dog's mouth.
Oh yes, of course.
The dog had bitten the killer, and they managed to get his DNA from. Unfortunately, the dog was no longer with us.
He put up a good fight though.
He did. But the forensic pathologist in my books, John Barron, he swabbed the teeth and sent it to one of his mates, nudge nudge wink wink, and got a turnaround of 2 hours for the DNA profile.
That is good going.
I wonder how much, how interested readers are in the forensic. Are we getting to a point where, forensics have shown us that it must have been, without necessarily all the detail? You know, when you watch murder mystery on the television, they don't. The forensics team are here, and so far they've told us that, we're just waiting for the toxicology reports, and. So there was nothing untoward there, and nothing. It's as though it's almost being used as a. We'll have to look somewhere else because there's nothing in forensics that points in the right direction.
Well, I suppose the thing is, it would be no fun, would it, if a forensic team went in and went, "Oh yeah, it was definitely so and so."
So-and-so.
It's like, right, well, case closed, because there's been no. It's not there's been no effort, but it's like you haven't had to get your brain to work to do that, have you? Someone's observed. But I mean, with Sherlock Holmes, part of the joy of it is he will notice something and then he will extrapolate from it.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people would say we rely too much on forensics.
I suppose that's what I was
these
getting
days.
at. Yes.
Yeah. The case that we were talking about, you weren't wrong. First criminal case solved using DNA evidence was the case of Colin Pitchfork, who was convicted in 1988 for the rape and murder of 2 girls in Leicestershire, England. Yeah. And that was a groundbreaking case utilising DNA fingerprinting, a technique developed by Alec Jeffreys. So absolutely, fantastic achievement. And one of the things, as I say, because I know I have known quite a lot of police officers, either through them being a member of the family or friends. And I remember a particular case in Cumbria where the police knew. They knew that the husband had murdered the wife. They couldn't prove it. And then as the DNA systems got better, they managed to prove it. From she was wrapped in I think it was like an eiderdown and tied up with rope, and his DNA was on that. So he ended up getting. Actually, I don't know whether he went to trial. I don't know whether he committed suicide. It was the lady in the late murder.
Oh right, yes.
But my friend's husband said to me because he was on the investigating team the second and third time around, And he said, we know he's done it. We just... And I said, that must be frustrating when a police officer, they go, who do you like for it? That's a phrase they say. And very often they'll say, well, we can't arrest them because we've got no evidence. But we know it's them. I mean, they're laughing at us, and then when they're interviewing me, it's no comment, sort of thing. It must be so frustrating when you're doing things like that. But just to take us into modern day,
yes,
because I've got to find it again now because I've gone to trip myself up, haven't I? I've gone and
what have you got?
It's about all the things that we use these days to look at crime scenes. Forensic detectives? No, it's not that one. Oh yeah, here it is. No, it's not. Just talk among yourselves for a minute.
It's funny that when you watch programs on the television, because I suppose that's where any forensic knowledge I've got has come from watching murder mystery type television programs.
Yeah.
And you see them all stretched out in a line, and they've all got the sticks, and they're looking for that clue. And you think to yourself, well, if you've got 20 police officers in a line, the chance of them missing something must be greater than them finding something when they're sort of
with the stick
just combing through.
It's called a fingertip search. That's called, isn't it? And they do that. Yeah. So when I looked at sort of an overview of the forensics we use today, I was absolutely, aghast at the how much there was. So you've got physiological, so you've got the anthropology, the biology, bloodstain patterns, so the way that the blood's splattered.
Yeah.
Chemistry, dentistry, DNA profiling, entomology, which obviously you were talking about before about the insects on the body. So depending at what stage the insects are, they can determine how long the body's been there. And just a few medicine. And then we go to social. So we've got psychiatry, psychology, psychotherapy, social work, verbal autopsy. Never heard of that?
What's that?
No idea. I'll have to look that up. And then criminalistics is things like accounting, body identification, chemistry, electronic forensics, facial reconstruction, fingerprints analysis, firearms examination, footwear evidence, where they take the cast of a footprint. Forensic art, profiling, glove prints. And don't forget, you can, in some gloves, leave your fingerprints inside. So people will put on the gloves that surgeons wear, but you can actually leave your fingerprints inside then.
Verbal autopsy, I've just looked it up. It's a method of gathering information about symptoms and circumstances for a deceased individual to determine their cause of death. So health information and a description of events prior to death are acquired from conversations or interviews with people who knew them. So probably, family members or something like that. And they're analysed by health professionals or computer algorithms to assign the likely causes of death.
Oh, so something like, he was all right last week, but this week I noticed he was a bit breathless. That type of thing, I presume.
Could be something like that, yeah. Or they would, know the medical history, presumably. So there you go.
It's funny, knowing medical history took me back to some of the stuff I was looking at with autopsies.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Napoleon Bonaparte, his dying wish was that he should be cut open by physicians to determine how he died, so that his children, his son, wouldn't make the same mistakes that he'd made.
Oh, that's interesting. Wonder if they did do that.
I don't know. Apparently he died of cancer, stomach cancer. So
too many cakes, probably.
Yeah.
We've got digital forensics, which, you see more and more of that now, where they look at computers, data analysing, database studies, location, malware analysis. My mind's going now. Mobile devices. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? If you've got a mobile, they can find out where you are. If you use a card in a card machine, they can find out where you are.
Yeah. We've seen Hunted, haven't we?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you got to dump your mobile.
Yeah.
Not use your bank cards.
It pinged off that tower sort of thing. You heard about burner phones an awful lot. And every time they throw one in a bin, I'm thinking, what a waste of money.
I was trying to think if I'd used any of these things, and I was thinking, actually, yes, I have. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever used any of them. I don't think I've ever used a burner phone.
Well, you have forensics
Oh,
quite a lot in your
generally,
books.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, because mine are more cozy type, it's not like you necessarily have access to all that stuff, or they'll have it at second hand. But yeah, I've had characters who've had to, get a phone, a pay-as-you-go phone that's not documented and pay in cash and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because that's
So,
it, yeah. One of my characters in one of my books had gone off grid completely and was under suspicion for murder. Become a monk.
Right.
So had a different name, had no need for money or cards or phones. Or
That's a bit extreme.
it is.
And you have to wonder is how easy is it to become a monk? I don't think you just walk into. I don't know.
I mean, at the least there'd be some sort of like trial period. I assume.
Some sort of interview.
Yeah, well, this particular character was searching for his girlfriend, and he got very depressed, and he went to a Buddhist temple.
So he actually was a genuine monk. It wasn't.
And he went in there, and
outback.
as you say, he worked his way up, and then took vows. So but over a period of time, not straight away. So yeah, that was him disappearing, and it's very, very difficult not to leave any trace of yourself digitally these days.
Yeah. And also with CCTV
yes,
everywhere.
it's everywhere.
But again, if you're in a monastery,
there wouldn't be any.
Yeah.
And doorbells now with the cameras on.
Yeah.
Police would come and ask for capture, and the cameras on your cars. All these sorts of things. It's all linked evidence. I mean, they can follow somebody. Very often, get off a tube all the way home through different.
Which is quite a scary thought.
It is. So when we've got a lot of electrical stuff here, and Perry Manson syndrome. I don't know what that is. Pollen calendar. I know about that because if somebody's got pollen in their nose from a certain time of year, you can tie down their death from that. And fire officers that go in and look at fire scenes to see whether they've been started for.
And that's one of the problems, isn't it? In as much as we've talked about this before, it will be very easy because there is so much information out there and so many different methods of autopsies or forensic to get all that information. Think I must put this in the book. I must put this forward.
Far too much.
And you've got to be so careful not to overload the reader.
Yes.
With all that you found out.
I mean, I tend to stick to things like DNA, I must
Yes.
admit, because it's the one.
It's
what
what
people know about.
I was going to say it's
most.
what most people, even though they may not understand it, they know of it.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
But even that, I put in one of my books that even identical twins have got different DNA. And I read an article after that said identical twins have got the same DNA. So I'm not sure which article was right. I think there might be tiny differences, but I suppose you'd have to know you were looking at identical twins to be able to pick those tiny differences up. Because sometimes you have a familiar DNA where it's a member of the family. So it could be a brother or a cousin or something like that, to link them to. So, has anybody got anything else interesting to say about this?
Ooh, I think I'm probably forensicked out.
Forensicked out, yes. Yeah. So,
it's obviously very much, as you probably realise, it's very much Carol's expertise here.
I just love it. I was saying once that when I was a young nurse, they gave us the option. We all had to agree on it, though, to go and watch a post-mortem at the hospital. And there's only 2 of us voted for it. Everybody else went, ooh. It's a long time ago, though, I just was fascinated by the whole thing. So
I think that might be a good point to finish.
I think we will. I think we will. But it is the silent witness, isn't it?
Indeed,
every time. That quote that you read out applies so much to all the things we've just talked about. And that was a while ago that quote was,
I believe so,
given out, wasn't it? So on those happy notes,
we're leaving you with the thought of Carol watching excitedly her first post-mortem.
And and
don't have nightmares.
Enjoy your tea tonight. So from us all, goodbye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Only Murders in My Mind, a Random Thought production, produced by John Bissett, The music in Peril was composed and recorded by OM Studio Strings.